Great. So I have pulled out three poems by Tagore today. One of them being this. And if you know any, Bengali versions of in between, whatever you remember, do share because, yeah, it's good to have you here with Tagore. Okay. So let us, maybe you read it out and then we can take a pause and reflect over it.
Yeah. So I'm reading it. With a sword in his hand. With a sword in his hand and a flower in his left, he comes. He breaks open thy door. He comes not to beg, but to fight and conquer. He breaks open thy door. He marches through the path of death into thy life. He takes possession of everything thou hast, and will never be content with only a portion. Breaks open thy door. I have not read this.
Yeah, I think it's such a vast collection also.
Yeah.
It's just a website on which, I don't know, many poems are there, plays and stories and everything. So even I have not heard it earlier. Yeah.
Actually, this reminds me, although it is a different, this is not, this is a different poem, that's a song. This goes like, যে রাতে মোর দুয়ার গুলি ভাঙলো ঝড়ে, which means that that night, uh, uh, when my door was torn apart by storm, that night I saw you standing on my doorstep. It's a very beautiful song. It's one of my favorite songs. I'll send you that translation.
Do you also sing?
No, I don't sing.
Okay. Or if you remember the lines, maybe you can just say out the lines in Bengali. How is it?
Yeah, যে রাতে মোর দুয়ার গুলি ভাঙলো ঝড়ে, জানি নাই তো তুমি এলে আমার দোরে. There is a very beautiful version of this song. Then what is that? I forgot the exact lines. I
I
just
think,
searched.
yeah, you can find it on the net also. Yeah. So Manjuji, namaste. We are just reading out this poem by Tagore, and if you have any reflections after reading this poem, please share.
Okay, if I can.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read the Bengali version? Or?
Yeah, Bengali version would be nice if you can do that.
Okay.
So maybe if there is an English one, you can first do the English and then the Bengali. Yeah, that would be, we can relate then.
Yeah. Okay, so this has been translated by Tagore himself. So on that night when the storm broke open my door, I did not know that you entered my room through the ruins. For the lamp was blown out and it became dark. I stretched my arms to the sky in search of help. I lay on the dust, waiting in the tumultuous dark, and I knew not that storm was your own banner. When the morning came, I saw you standing upon the emptiness that was spread over my house. যে রাতে মোর দুয়ারগুলি ভাঙলো ঝড়ে, জানি নাই তো তুমি এলে আমার ঘরে। সব যে হয়ে গেল কালো, নিভে গেল দ্বীপের আলো। আকাশ পানে হাত বাড়ালেন কাহার তরে, অন্ধকারে রইল পড়ে স্বপন মানি। ঝড় যে তোমার জয়ধ্বজা তাই কি জানি। সকালবেলা চেয়ে দেখি দাঁড়িয়ে আছো তুমি একি, ঘর ভরা মোর শূন্য তারি বুকের পরে।
Yeah, beautiful. I think this reminds me of what I was just listening to a talk by Dr. Alok Pandey, and there he shared that peace, this empty content peace. I think that's once when we begin to feel it in the being, so it's the signal of the divine presence. And I think what you shared in the last line, the emptiness that he shares about. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so any reflections on this one, the one in front of us, if anyone has?
जो अभी आपने कहा है शायद वही रिफ्लेक्शन मुझे भी आ रहा है कि एक ग्रेस से मेरे जो द्वार थे, पट थे, वो एकदम खुल गए और आकाश से जो ग्रेस मेरे जीवन में और घर के अंदर घुस गई, मेरे जीवन में ठहर गई आके।
जी मंजू जी, सो इस जो आपने शेयर किया उसी बात पे अगेन द टॉक दैट आई वाज लिसनिंग टू, उसमें ये था कि जैसे इन मेनी mythological images we see Shiva lying down and on his breast Kali is dancing. Maybe you have seen those images that Kali
Yes.
is doing the dance on Shiva's breast.
Breast.
So one of the meanings, he says that it can be interpreted in at many levels, but one of the meanings that he shared, which was very beautiful, was what you were just sharing, is that for the dance of manifestation to happen, there has to be a solid foundation.
Yes.
And peace and silence and stillness, which we call Shiva consciousness or Shiva, that's the basis for the dance of Kali. So that was really very powerful.
हाँ, मैं कह नहीं पाई हूँ, लेकिन एक मतलब इमेज आ रहा है कि एक ग्रेस चली आ रही है, मेरे जो बंद पट थे उनको खोल के अंदर आ गई मेरे ऊपर।
ब्यूटीफुल।
रुकने से रुकने वाली नहीं थी, इट इज विद द फोर्स एंड विद द मतलब उसको रोकना चाहते भी तो नहीं रुकती, आकाश से बिजली की तरह आई और मेरे जीवन में फैल गई।
ब्यूटीफुल, थैंक यू। It's also interesting, this contrast of एक हाथ में sword, sword in his right hand and a flower in his left. So like, one has to balance the destruction also, that not to really be so cruel, but to balance the destruction, whatever needs to be destroyed, and we know, since we are coming from the ego consciousness or the inconscience, the darkness of the inconscience, there is much, much, much that needs to be now destroyed, because it's not of use anymore. हो सकता है पहले उसका कोई use हो, maybe as we were listening to something else, and there it says that ego consciousness has a purpose. It's not that ego is bad. Egoism may be not really required, but ego consciousness has a purpose, because from the mass or the darkness of inconscience from where we are rising up, जहाँ पे सब कुछ मिला जुला, confused mesh of things है, हमें अपने ही parts के बारे में नहीं पता, from there to rise up, ego is like a kind of a scaffolding that is required in the beginning. But then once we move on in life, once we have individualities and we go forward in life, then slowly we see that it becomes a bar. Ego is the helper, but then it also becomes the bar. And what to do then? Because you cannot destroy the ego. Ego cannot be destroyed, that आज तो मैं अपनी ego को खत्म करके रहूंगा, ऐसा हो नहीं सकता. So what to do? And what he was hinting at, that the speaker, was that you get in touch with your deeper self, the true self. And the more power we give to the deeper self, which you both, Manjuji and Ashpriya, were hinting at, the peace, the inner silence. And it's not a dumb silence, it's a very active silence. It is very intelligent silence. So the more power we give to that inner being, slowly that inner being takes the place of the ego. It's not that first ego will be destroyed and then something new will come. Not like that. First, we have to know that now ego is becoming a bar. We have to move beyond the ego consciousness, the separative, tu, main, main alag, tu alag, all that we do in the name of ego. And for that to happen, one has to connect with the deeper individuality, deeper being. And then slowly ego becomes secondary, then you don't pay much attention to it. So that was really, yeah. And with this, I was reminded of that conversation, since he says, with a sword in his right hand and a flower in his left. So the destruction is also required. The force of Mahakali is also required. But a kind of a cradle is also required, because you cannot just destroy, because otherwise the blow would be too harsh on us human beings. So the flower, and flower is full of fragrance. Flower is full of harmony. So along with beauty, harmony, there is also happening whatever needs to be destroyed. And I was just kind of, I began at the first line, but I wanted others to share. So Shweta, Ashpriya, if you have anything to share, please.
I'm just listening, Monica. I'll just take some more time. Yeah, it's nice. Reflections, I'm just listening.
मुझे ऐसा लगता है, बोल सकते हो? हेलो
जी जी जी.
मुझे ऐसा लगता है जिस चीज को आप ईगो कह रही हैं ना, तो सोड जो है वो शक्ति का प्रतीक है. जो भी हमारे अंदर कलुष या जो भी हमारे, जिसको हम साफ करना चाहते हैं या कमल तक पहुंचना चाहते हैं, फ्लावर तक पहुंचना चाहते हैं, तो उसके लिए हमको क्लीन करने के लिए एक शक्ति की जरूरत है, जो सोड के रूप में उन्होंने प्रेजेंट की है. मुझे ऐसा लगता है. It is not our ego, it is the Shakti with which we can kill that.
Yes.
Whatever is bad in us.
Yes. So I was actually not pointing the sword as the ego. I was saying whatever needs to be destroyed, and it's the ego consciousness that needs to be destroyed. But I totally resonate with what you are saying. Yes.
Yeah, that is what I get.
Also, I think this line that he marches through the path of death into thy life. I think this is a very powerful line. I think this reminds us of our, vulnerability in a way, our ego's vulnerability. We are, if we really think that we are much bigger than our ego, and the fact that it marches through that path of death into thy life. So it's that that power actually comes through vulnerability, through something like death. And this is something which is very powerful if you think about it, that there is a very famous song by Tagore itself, another song I'm getting reminded of, where that the song has this line called Moron Amar Jibon Toribaya. So death actually rose my the boat of life. So that fact that if you are aware that we are much more, but there is something called death also, which probably is linked to the ego.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Do you also listen to Baul songs?
Yeah, I am a huge fan of.
Have you heard Parvati Baul?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
She has a very a very. I have heard many songs of hers, but there is a very nice interview that I heard the other day where she talks about the fact that, you know, how, I mean, I think somewhere during the course also, you know, this was discussed that, you know, how we become, uh, how we forget to receive.
Yeah,
Our ego, you know, does not allow us to receive.
totally.
So that, you know, that in receiving is our prayer also.
Beautiful, beautiful. So to become porous, to
Yes,
receive. Yeah.
yes.
Because once this ego develops and we think that we know, I know, I am the human being and I can do this and that. And
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So she
And
said that, you know, during her, like, because she was not traditionally, she was a painter. Then she became this, by that one song that she heard on her journey to Shantiniketan. That's how her life changed.
yeah.
So, so then she went, and then she had to really convince the guru that, you know, she wants to be the student,
Hmm.
which was itself a beautiful experience. And then once the guru got convinced, and he had sent her for to beg. Then she went, and she was standing in front of, you know, that person's door, and then she came out and she said, "You are not, you're not good enough to have that rickshaw. You have to really become the beggar.
Yeah.
Become the beggar first, and then you come."
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I think this also connects me with how when we are in trouble, especially going through challenges of life, many a times it happens that we are afraid to ask for help, because somehow the idea that we have is the one who is giving the help is superior,
Mm.
and the one who is receiving the help is some inferior fellow. Usually, that's the mental image that we have.
Yeah.
And in there we think that, oh my god, what will the other thing, that I am not good enough, I am not.
Mm.
So it's really amazing how complex the mind makes it, and we do not allow ourselves to seek for help.
Yeah.
When we could ask anyone, we know socially we are so viable and we know so many people. But
Yeah.
when it comes to asking for help, we really think, oh my god, to whom should I go and ask for help?
Yeah, I think this is also hugely linked, like, of course, on a different level, but it is also hugely linked to the whole thing of individualism. The way we have become, firstly, there is a narrative of giving, giving, giving. You have to be the giver and all that. And apart from that, the fact that we don't live in community that way anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. I think one of the famous poems where the mind is without fear, he
Without
says,
fear.
the narrow domestic walls,
Yes, yes.
this is
Very
my
good.
family and that's it. Yeah, Manjuji.
Yes. हाँ नहीं, I agree with what you are telling. हमको जब जरूरत होती है तो हम मांगना भी नहीं चाहते, पता नहीं वो ईगो है, आई कांट अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इट इज, बट उस वक्त बहुत समझ नहीं आती है हाउ टू सरेंडर, हाउ टू गो, हाउ टू आस्क, व्हाट शुड बी द मेथड, है ना, माइंड में फिक्स नहीं हो पाता.
Monica, may I share?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where I went with it was slightly different approach. I think same peak, right? The divine is the peak, the oneness. Yet where my mind went to it, especially with the sword and the flower, is how, first of all, it's like when I feel very separate, like the ego, then there's this wish to either I need something from others, such as their respect, their acknowledgement, their love, their recognition. And then I want to use the sword if I'm not getting it, But ultimately, that kind of reassurance and a kind of underscoring of my worth, be it in life or in an argument or in a disagreement, in the end, it's for me to have respect for what I believe, and at the same time have respect for the other, And that comes with the flower, having that attitude, firstly towards myself, so I don't come to the other as a beggar now in the other sense of the word, right? The beggar, which feels less than, that feels very needy, that needs to manipulate others. So without all that, the flower is the key there. And then the other lines that he writes, Tagore, about the death, it reminded me of something else I read from the mother today in Sunlit Path, about how with the death of the ego, or the separate I identity, and an identification with the larger whole, then there isn't all this kind of give take, I'm losing, if someone else gets their way, then I've lost somehow, because one is identified with more and more. Like, I am the other, I am all this, all basically in this passage, it's so beautiful from the mothers, you start to identify as everything. And so it doesn't matter who wins or who loses. And that's the death of the separate identity. And for me, these lines reminded me of that, of the beauty of this promise of the more I can let my barriers down, my separateness down, and the more I can start to really see the other as me, even if they appear to disagree, or they appear to have something very different point of view or very different needs. But ultimately, if I am, then it's okay. I can really soften and not use that sword, both with myself and the other, and use the flower, both for myself and the other, all as the divine.
Yeah, thank you so much, Swapna. Yes, yes. This death of a separate self, I think this is something that all of us deal with. And I think before you joined, we were talking about it in some other sense, what I heard today in one of the talks. But this also connects me with what I was earlier discussing with Ashpriya, that there is a song, I will share it later with others, by Parvati Baul, Jonomo Morono Hobe Nibarono. So we are always in this, the the continuous series of life and death and life and death and life and death. And she says that you will be rid of all the chakkar of life and death, not that you will not be taking birth, by doing morono sadhana. So he says that if you die before you die, then the way you live is what Swapna, you were sharing, that's identifying with everything as my own self. I think that's a beautiful possibility that all of us have, rather than identifying and living as the ego consciousness, me and my own, little life, my own desires have to be fulfilled. And it really troubles us. It's not that we are very happy about, living as egos. So it's the higher possibility is that, can I die before the death arrives? I think that's a beautiful possibility which you touched upon, Swapna, through mother's words. And mother also shares, one of the quote that I read was that when you begin to feel happy with other people's progress or other people's happiness, now try to do it. Actually, we must try to do it, that we all have people in our life which we don't really like. All of us have a couple of people here and there, or maybe some of us may not have, but if we try to find, we will find a few people. Maybe we are a bit kind of not really happy about their happiness, or maybe jealous about why they are living their lives so contentedly, not in a very aggravated manner, but maybe in a very mild, subtle manner. And if you close your eyes and just remember those people and actually feel happiness about the way they are living, or whatever, if somebody has made progress, feel happy for them. If somebody is living happily, feel happy for them. So mother says this is one of the ways to actually step back into your inner being, which is the inmost being, actually the psychic being. And I think it's something which we can try and experiment with, that whenever your mood is going here and there, suddenly feel happy about, or whatever, be grateful about the other person, or whatever you are feeling jealous of or angry about, and something shifts. It's a very subtle movement, but something shifts. So instead of that separate personality, you are somehow now identified with the wholeness. Yes, Manjuji, please.
मुझे ऐसा लगता है, जो आप दूसरों के बारे में सोचें, मुझे लगता है जब हमारे अंदर आई खत्म हो जाती है, मी खत्म हो जाता है, तो हम अपने आप को यूनिवर्सलाइज तो पहले ही कर लेते हैं, क्योंकि हमारी ईगो नहीं है, तो इसलिए दूसरा हमको दूसरा दिखता नहीं है. आई थिंक उस मृत्यु का या वो आई जब मर जाती है तो सब कुछ एक जैसा लगता है, हमारी आई ही आड़े खड़ी रहती है. जी, मुझे ऐसा लगता है.
जी जी. लेकिन यही चक्कर है ना, यही चक्कर है मंजू जी की आई का खत्म होना ऐसा कोई एक जन्म का काम नहीं है. That's the trouble, and that's also a challenge that ego रहेगी. Okay, the ego will stay, and Kabir ji also has talked in many couplets. दोहों में उन्होंने बताया इसके बारे में कि जो ट्रू साधक होता है, साधु तब तक भय करे जब तक पिंजर में सांस. So as long as I have breath in the body, the ego is not going anywhere. There is a physical ego that I am this body. There is a mental ego, intellectual ego. Then there is an emotional ego. It is not going to just disappear one day. Yeah. No. So I will not be able to say that now I am egoless. That day will never come. But what can be done is you bring something deeper from within. That's what we were touching upon कि जैसे कमरा है, कमरे में आपकी 3-4 मकड़ियां हैं, तो मकड़ियां रहेंगी, लेकिन आप इतने एब्जॉर्ब हो गए किसी ब्यूटीफुल चीज में
कि that is what I say. जब आई खत्म हो जाती है तो मुझे तुम में और मुझ में जब नहीं, पर ये जीवन चलता रहता है. जो निर्वाण या जिसको हम मुक्ति कहते हैं, कि मतलब एक दिन का काम नहीं है, कई जीवन लग जाते हैं इसको अटेन करने के लिए. दिस इज व्हाट आई फील. बट वो है जब हम अब तुम्हें और अब मुझे में कोई फर्क नहीं रहता, तभी वो खत्म होती है, पर वो फिर आ जाती है थोड़ी देर बाद, ऐसा मुझे लगता है.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. एंड दैट्स
प्रोसेस खत्म नहीं होता, ये प्रोसेस चलता रहता है. आज हमने समझाया, कल फिर वो भूल जाता है. बिल्कुल. ये दिस इज व्हाट
या I think that's why the stress on remembrance, because we are so forgetful, we just fall back into the sleep again. So that's why remembrance has been given a lot of importance.
Yes.
Monica, something else I realized as you and Manjuji were just now talking, in terms of the sword and the flower, I was seeing the metaphors or analogies with, like, the edge of the sword. We in English will say, like living at the very edge of the sword, and this living from a more soulful place, or the psychic, right? The indication of the psychic versus ego or the vital is like living on the edge of a sword. Sometimes one falters or falls on one side of the sword, and it can feel like, you're attacking with the sword, or it feels very ego, fight, disharmony. And if you're living right on that very beautiful balanced edge, then it's like easier, at least for me, it seems, to be that instrument of the divine. There's an inkling of what the psychic would do, or at least something that's more loving and kind. Maybe I don't know what the psychic is, but at least what is the kinder option in a situation or in life, even with my own self. And the flower, the other metaphor I saw is as in Kundalini chakra, the highest chakra, which is one of the centers. I've heard Mother and Shurbindo talk about the top chakra, the highest one above the head, as well as the heart one. And so the flower symbolizing qualities from those two centers, kind of guiding my life or informing me about a situation moment to moment. And that's where that death and life thing again as well, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And all these, I feel that all these dips that we go through or fall back into ego consciousness, I think this is just the movement that we need, because with every fall we realize what we have to learn. So the mistakes or the errors are not for no reason. You know, in Savitri there is this one line which I was sharing the other day. Our errors are his steps on the way. Yeah, so although I may think that, oh my God, I tripped again, and we all do again and again, but again and again there would be some or the other lesson that I may need to learn through it. So the errors are not in vain. And it's only when we, you know, there are times when we have kind of tripped again into this darkness or this zone of really turmoil. We have tripped into that, owing to some desires and expectations and demands, and we are yet not able to get the lesson out of it. I think that's where we feel that, oh my God, why do I fail again and again? But when I actually get the lesson about every ego trip I make, every time I get a lesson or a learning, something to change within my being, I think then I don't feel like complaining about the fall also, because it's okay, you know, I learned something about my own self, maybe more love, more kindness, as you were sharing, you know. And it's really amazing how we can just continuously progress in this direction, and there seems no end to this progression, which is beautiful also, because which makes the journey so beautiful. Yeah, and many a times it happens that we don't have much learning, and then we think, you know, maybe in regret that, you know, why did I fall, and why this cruelty to me only. But then maybe we need to look deeper. Yes, Shweta, you wanted to say something, please.
Yeah, so like yeah, as I am reflecting, taking it from, you know, like where you left, yeah, we reach a point where, you know, like this poem brings that to me as I was reflecting, like again, you know, like with a sword in his right hand and a flower in his left. Like I like others have also mentioned, I take it as, you know, Purusha and Prakriti. So that dance and my higher self, you know, after all those falls and all again and again, so I am taking it like further from there. So my higher self breaks open, you know, the door with the blessing of, you know, and with all these things going on. This is after all the dance of, you know, like Prakriti dancing and like Purush witnessing. So with all this happening, we reach a point where, you know, my higher self is like breaking open the door. And you know, like now after all these times, like, you know, he's not come to beg, he's here to fight and conquer, which I see, you know, like it happens. And he breaks open the door, he marches through the path of death into my life. Like how all of us see how you know, the falsehood, one by one, everything is leaving, everything is dying, the falsehood is dying, and you're like actually marching, you know, like the higher self is just marching through this path, taking possession of everything. And, you know, it will never be content with only a portion. And that is where, again, you know, you are struggling, okay, just this part and that. But this higher self just wants to absorb you. And, you know, he breaks open that door. You know, like this is the journey. It's very beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, very powerful. Yes, yes. I think these lines are really very powerful. He takes possession of everything thou hast and will never be content with only a portion, what you were saying. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we keep on hiding, you know. है ना, ये नहीं देना, ये नहीं देना.
बिल्कुल. But actually it is marching through you, and actually the falsehoods are like, you know, like one by one, you can see you want to cling to it, but they are going, you know, they are, you know, having a death, you know, one after the other. Yeah.
Beautiful. I think the visual that comes to me is this humongous flow of the Ganges, in front of which no structure can stand. It will just wipe away everything, you know, cleanse everything and bring a greater harmony, a deeper harmony. So when this, you know, the flow of grace, as you and Manjuji was also sharing, you know, this flow of grace is actually like that. that it will not listen to your little demands ki acha ye bhi de do, wo bhi de do, acha ye to rehne do, as you were sharing so beautifully, because it knows that we are made for more. It knows our higher possibility, and that's why it will not let us be content with the candies and lollies that we want for ourselves. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, anyone else? Any more reflection on this one? Okay, so let's maybe, yeah, this was also very nice. I went through it, and let's go through it. Fill your eyes. I'll just read it out and then we will take a pause and we can share. Fill your eyes with the colors that ripple on beauty's stream. Vain is your struggle to clutch them. That which you chase with your desire is a shadow. That which thrills your life chords is music. The wine they drink at the assembly of gods has no body, no measure. It is in rushing brooks, in flowering trees, in the smile that dances at the corner of dark eyes. Enjoy it in freedom. So let us take a pause and then we'll share our reflections. Yeah, anyone who feels ready? Yes, Shweta. Yeah.
So, as I was reading this poem, what I felt is it's talking about, the concept of spirituality that we try to get. It is not a concept, So, fill your eyes with the colors that ripple on beauty's stream. Vain is your struggle to clutch them. It is not something that, it's not a concept, or, it's not a theory that, you read it or you just try to achieve it through a technique and you will get it. It is so much in the daily routine, and it is so much everywhere around you, in people around us, and everything that we witness from morning to night. Those are the colors that ripple on beauty stream, and that which you chase with your desire is a shadow. If you want to go for it, okay, awakening, and like I want to achieve it. It's just that we're being fooled. We are fooling ourselves. It's a shadow. That which thrills your life, chords, is music. Yeah, you understand it in a way that it is not clutchable. The wine they drink at the assembly of gods has no body, no measure. It's again, it's not a way of like going to the forest or cave and just achieving it. It is to find it in the rushing brooks and flowering trees, in the smile that dances at the corner of dark eyes. Just to feel liberated and free and not be in labels and concepts, and just breathe and enjoy this beauty every moment all around you, and to see love and see yourself in others and find that oneness. that is true freedom. And like let's go beyond concepts is what I get. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shweta. Beautiful. Yes. It's very interesting, very interesting. Yeah. Kabir ji, the last line that you shared, in the freedom, Kabir ji says, चाह गई चिंता मिटी, मनवा बेपरवाह, जिनको कुछ नहीं चाहिए, वो शाहन के शाह. So as long as we are just trapped in the net of desires, that if I don't get this or that or this or that, then something in me remains incomplete, this premise that we make. And for that, we really suffer. I think as long as we are in the net of desires, and again, desire has a proper place in evolution of human consciousness. By Mother and Sri Aurobindo also share, desire is the helper, desire is the bar. But once it has done its job, then it has no place at all. As if I'm just carrying something so heavy on my shoulders, which is not now needed. So desire is needed to move us from inertia. But once I've made that movement, and once I'm going forward and forward in that movement, then the desire is not needed. Then there is an automatic propulsion that takes place, that Shakti that someone was sharing earlier. I think Manjuji was sharing about Shakti. So this freedom comes when we are in any moment, in any moment, if I am away from the net of desires, being content with life and its movements, I think there we touch upon that bliss or freedom, that right now it is just perfect as it is. Mother says that don't be satisfied with yourself, but that is a different thing. That she says in that in context of that, don't be satisfied that you have made enough progress and now I can relax. So she says that way you don't get satisfied, but this peace, contentment filling your being, that I am okay, life is okay, whatever I need for my progress is right here, right now. I think that really is very transmuting in nature, transformative in nature. This freedom of the inner being, that you are not trying to occupy the other is not trying to occupy you, and one is just be, one just is. So that the isness, that freedom is really beautiful. And here he says that enjoy it in freedom. So even when we go through spiritual experiences, or maybe we touch in relationships, we touch beauty at some or the other level, what we do naturally is that we try to clutch that beauty, that want to make it happen again and again. Oh my God, why is it not happening? Why is it not happening? And there I really suffer. Why? Because the premise is that without that beauty happening again, I remain incomplete. So the last line to me also connects with that, that can I enjoy all the gifts and bounties of life, whether in relationships, work, or otherwise within me? Can I just enjoy in freedom? Like not try to, as you were saying, clutch it. Because the moment I try to clutch it, it moves away because the moment has gone. Another new moment has been born. So, and there we suffer, we clutch to the past, want to repeat it again and again. And that never happens. And we keep on suffering. Yeah. So anyone else? Stop here. Anyone else? Yes, Swapna.
So
Yeah, you got muted, I think, Swapna.
oops, can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. What I was going with is the present moment, right? There's a lot of mention here of nature and nature's ways. And I love nature. I love movement a lot as well. A lot of using my body to interact in nature, whether it's sports or swimming or getting into rivers and lakes and the sea. And what I love about that experience is it seems to recharge me, just like, if your phone is empty and or your computer, your laptop, and you plug it in, it feels like that every time, this immersion in nature. And secondly, why does it feel like I get charged up? I feel I get very present. And so these lines where it says, the wine they drink at the assembly of gods has no body, no measure, today I was playing in myself of trying to anchor to the very back of my body. It's something I've heard you say in some things I've done with you, Monica. I've also heard it through other teachers in the Sri Aurobindo yoga of, you know, like the psychic being back behind. So I was literally imagining the very back of my body and being anchored there. And then there was no body. There wasn't a sense of, I am this, you know, swapna with this physical body I look down on and see, and that is my limit. There was much more of a sense of being stepped back, being a witness, being able to be expansive. And then I relate to these words like it is the rushing brook in flowering tree, it is in rushing brooks, in flowering trees, in the smile that dances in the corner of dark eyes. Enjoy it in freedom. So to me, the freedom that I feel as myself when I'm anchored in that place, and then very present, and then very expansive as a natural result. And it's really beautiful. It's very beautiful because it feels so expansive and therefore free, very large.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah. And the connection that you make with nature, I think it's really amazing how it brings back all of us. I think would resonate that nature has this vital, mother also says that for replenishing your energies, you connect with the nature, because we are, human beings are nature. We are part of nature. It's just that we have somehow overpopulated the whole earth, and it seems that we are something different than nature, so we go out in nature, but we are also nature. We are just like the animal, maybe a dog, a cat, which is part of nature, and a tree, which is part of nature. So all this is nature, and we are also nature. And it's amazing that how much we feel that the more we disconnect ourselves from nature, the more we disconnect ourselves from our truth. We cannot actually kill the nature and yet be at peace. It cannot happen because we are nature itself. So that also connects with this global crisis of what we go through, the crisis of nature, the climate change and everything. Yeah. And it somehow has the capacity to bring us back to the moment. Just as you were sharing, connecting with the body, bodily movements, sensations, and bringing your whole energy in the here and now. Even when we have headache, or maybe we are undergoing maybe a mental something, maybe we are thinking too much. And if for a moment, I leave that thinking and I focus on where am I feeling sensations in the body. Maybe my head is aching, the stomach is aching, or maybe, some sensations here and there. The moment we stay not with the thinking part, the story part, but the bodily part, again, we are neutralized. We are just back in the moment here and now. And that burden seems to have been lifted off. Connecting with nature's voices, here rushing brooks and flowering trees, that which thrills your life chords is music. Connecting with the body movement, as you were saying, I think it's really very powerful. One of the tools which can be used once again and again. We need many tools. So yeah, one of the tools to keep us grounded and connected with our own self. Yeah, anyone else on these lines?
I can share something. It's just what stood out for me when I was reading these lines, and a couple of things. First one was the fourth line, in which goes like this: that which you chase with your desire is a shadow. And it's, yeah, I mean, it somewhere felt, it felt like a sharp reminder that how shadow is intangible, and so is the experience of chasing a desire. I mean, sometimes, yes, desires do get fulfilled, but most of the times it's intangible. We end up feeling frustrated, and that whole experience is very well described in this line. And also the following line, that that which thrills your life chords is music. And of course, like, not just one thing, but anything that brings joy to me, or fulfills me, uplifts me, is what is probably tangible, worth chasing, worth doing more and more, rather than seeking and running after ideas and things that I think will make me happy, rather than things that I know are making me happy in the moment, or have had the capacity to make me happy, which truly bring me up. So, like, like a stubborn child, so just chasing the desires rather than really full trying to, and I do this more often these days than I did before, but I do this. And then also the wine they drink at the assembly of gods, for me this is a really nice metaphor for everything material that we chase, or everything material that I think will bring me happiness. But true happiness perhaps lies in simple moments of everyday life. And again, I mean, chasing something that is in the future, or something that I'm hoping for, is only leaving me feeling less in the moment. And if only I could spend that time or use that time doing things that would immediately lift me up. So this was a good reminder of these things for me.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful reflections. This thing with the desire, it's a very interesting process of desires. And maybe one day, I think long ago we did a session on desire. Maybe deserves to be repeated since all our life we just keep on running and running. But then I feel that running is also a part of process which is required for us to really get convinced, what do I need to do?
And also, I mean, this entire thing with me, at least, I've seen there are days when I feel, full of desires. Then there are days when I feel just frustrated, and that, it doesn't matter. I don't want anything and I'm okay. And then there are days when I'm somewhere swimming in between. And then there are days on which I feel that I don't have desires. But that idea is also, somewhere deep within, a desire is still there. It's just an outer frustration, but not a true letting go. It's deep inside, I'm still somewhere wishing, oh, maybe change. Just because I am a hopeful person by nature. I don't know if I can put it on that, but yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. No, I think Shreya, what you are saying, first of all, it's making sense. I'm sure it's making sense to all of us. And the other thing is that we don't have to let go of desires. Mother shares about, first of all, let go in the sense I cannot give up a desire. It's very hard for me to give up a desire. So there is a process that we all go through in our lives. Now, the way we run after our desires is that I feel that without that fulfillment, I will remain incomplete. That's the thing that is not right, because who I am is full and complete. That shlok, Om Purnamidam Purnamida, that all that came from full, all that little drop is also full, and all that goes back into that fullness. Yeah. So in having the desire and in thinking that before that gets fulfilled, I am right now incomplete, actually I am negating my true nature. And in negation of my true nature, I can never be content. So I think slowly we also understand the process of desire, that what am I really doing? And as you were sharing that, it feels like a stubborn thing, and all of us go through it, that some or the other thing catches our mind, that without this I will remain unfulfilled. Yeah, at times it does move us from inertia, and it is required in our journey as a human being. But many a times, when especially we have grown into adults, and maybe it's not serving much purpose, but just bringing more disturbance in my being. And I think that process is also required, because then I realize what brings disturbance and what keeps me in peace. So one can have a beautiful formation. We don't have to let go of our dreams. Mother shares this process of imagination, the power of imagination she shares very, very beautifully. That what you do is you create a beautiful imagination. Whatever you want, create it. Add details to it. Maybe add colors if you want. Maybe somebody is desiring for a house, so add the color also. Now, after you have created a beautiful imagination, what has to be done is it has to be offered to the divine or to the higher. And I have to be okay with whatever I am right now. The thing is that I'm not okay with whatever I am right now. So that going within, deep within the being, as Swapna was touching upon, going at the back wall of the heart, just at the depths of your heart horizontally, placing your focus there, attention there, which is the seat of the psychic, seat of the soul. So Mother shares that once you stay there focused, concentrated, and not dispersed in thoughts and reactions, then you give that more power than the stubbornness of the desire, which will remain. We cannot just get rid of it one day, which will remain, but it will lose the grip over me, which you were sharing, Shreya, that now I know that what brings me fulfillment, maybe reading a book or spending some time with body movement or yoga, or maybe in nature, or not really these spiritual things, maybe just taking a walk or cooking, anything mundane it can be. Yeah, but I know that when I give myself fully to that movement, it brings me contentment. Yeah, it brings me joy. So can I put more time and effort there rather than here, where we mostly are, and we are just disturbed all the time, and slowly it loses the grip over us. Another desire may come, but that would be another challenge, I would say, and each challenge comes for a purpose. I think there is nothing that comes without a purpose in our life. So yeah, and the ability to be able to enjoy it in freedom, the last line, I think that's what we maybe need to work at, because whatever we are enjoying, it becomes a pattern of enjoyment, and I begin to crave for it again and again. This is what happens. So maybe I had a good time in one relationship. Now that mind is stuck there. Now that good time just happened. It was a work of grace. It just happened. But I am stuck now. Chahiye again, fir se chahiye, fir se chahiye, fir se chahiye, fir se chahiye. And in that, I am just proving again and again that I am incomplete as I am right now, which is not true, which is falsehood. So can I just enjoy the gifts of life, whether in relationships or in work or otherwise, and enjoy it in freedom, that let it come and then let it go, and let it come and let it go. It's a difficult process. We are not really good at it, but I think that's our higher possibility. More peace there, more freedom there, more creativity also there, because the energy then remains concentrated, it's not dispersed. So we can give ourselves to more creativity, the flow of our own unique creativity. Yeah, anyone else? Anything on this?
I'd like to say something bouncing off what Shreya and you have just been talking about. Yesterday, I had a situation where I was triggered by someone very close to me. And because we're very close and we live together, an old or an ego pattern in me would be the desire, like in these lines, the desire would be to change him, right? To get what I want or what my ego believed I needed. And I knew in that moment of, had I kept speaking, it would have turned to something downward, a negative spiral. And instead, somehow by Mother's grace or God's grace, I was quiet. And then these lines here about that which you chase with your desire as a shadow, and that which thrills your life chords as music. One way I've heard even music or listening to music explained is you listen to the silence between the notes, right? And I've always thought that was so special to have that kind of guidance about listening to music, wherever it comes from, because I used to always listen to the notes or the melody or the rhythm. So in the silence, I noticed yesterday just that it was by grace that it happened that I stayed silent. Yet the shadow was that, if I'd run with a desire, which was, I need to change him, I need to have my way, all that. In the end, because I was able to be quiet, it was a shadow. It disappeared. It wouldn't have actually come about anyway. It would have been two egos butting their heads, like has happened many, many times in personal relationships. And instead, then the silence just kept growing. And it reminded me of something I'd heard on Oprah Winfrey. She has this Soul Sunday type of sessions. It was a podcast. And there the speaker was saying how temptation is a gift. So desire, temptation, them going together. And his whole premise was that when we are tempted or when a desire comes up, it's showing a dark spot. He's saying whatever the desires, whatever your addiction, whether it's a substance, whether it's food or alcohol or relationship, or, a person wanting to change a person, thinking about a person. So to me, it's like, oh, there's the dark spot. There's the temptation to run after the desire. Instead, just be quiet. And instead, then in that silence, there was just, again, that which thrills your life chords as music. So it was really actually the silence that ended up being much more interesting and much more, literally interesting. I could just stay quiet, and all I could feel from the other person, there was still like mixture of thought and drama and all kinds of energy, but we didn't say anything. We just didn't say anything, which is very different for us to not say anything. And in the end, there was a sense of freedom. Yeah, just tying to the last. So yeah, it's something I feel like I want to experiment more and more, just this stepping back, being quiet and letting it unfold.
It's very powerful, Swapna. Very powerful. Yeah. Beautiful. I think these lines are really what you were reflecting upon. That which you chase with your desire is a shadow, and if you don't give much attention to it, as you were sharing, it disappears, loses the grip over you. And coming back to the here and now, the consciousness in your body, coming back to your inner sensations, that which thrills your life chords is music. So immersing ourselves here in the now, rather than running over something which is actually an illusion. It gives a promise of fulfillment, but it never really is a lasting fulfillment. Very powerful. Great. So I have actually one more, which is a short one. I think which can be taken. Let us take this, and then we can end the session after this. So there's an ad in between. I'm sorry for this. Maybe oh my God, it got clicked. So yeah. Yeah, now it's okay. So let's look at this, and then we can share our reflections. I'll just read it out. It may be that your loved ones will forsake you, but mind it not, my heart. It may be that the creeper of your hope will be laid low in the dust, all torn, its fruits wasted, but mind it not, my heart. It may be that the dark night will overtake you before you reach the gate, and your attempts will ever be in vain to light your lamp. When you tune your harp, the birds and the beasts of the wilderness will flock around you. It may be that your borders will remain unmoved, but mind it not, my heart. The walls are of stones, the doors barred. It may be that you will knock off and again, yet it will not open, but mind it not my heart. Beautiful one. So let us take a moment and share. So at any moment, if you're ready, anyone, please go ahead, unmute and share.
I think this poem is so loving, that it's so filled with love, and the fact that that effort is probably what we all can do, and the result we'll have to accept the way it is and still love ourselves. I think it's so beautiful, this whole thing that mind, but mind it not my heart.
Yes, you're right. I think there's a lot of love, just like we, console a child, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Almost like that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I think Mother also points that human beings are most miserable beings on the planet. Why? Because they take themselves so seriously.
Yeah.
I think we take our desires and troubles and the issues really very seriously at times. And
Even
here,
I mean,
yeah.
even I have. I mean, of course, I think somewhere Mother has written that you should enjoy this whole journey also. It it is to be enjoyed, and I think we fail at that also at times. That we're like, oh, we have tried so hard, and yet why am I not in that situation all the time, in that position, in that state of mind all the time? Um, but then I think if we accept more, the joy is more. When it comes, the joy is much more. The wonder of that moment is much more, because you are a child at the end of the day, and that that wonder, that everything can be so full of wonder.
Beautiful. I think this sense of wonder that you mentioned, I think this is what is so special about little children,
Mm. Yeah.
because everything is new for them, all the sense perceptions, everything.
Yeah.
And they actually look at everything with a sense of this wonderment,
Yeah.
which we adults fail slowly. We almost lose it on the way. Because since we think that, okay, ye to mujhe pata hai, I know this.
Yeah, exactly. इतना पता है हम लोग को, that is the problem.
Actually, हमें पता नहीं है कि हमें पता नहीं
पता
है.
है.
We don't know that we don't know. Yeah.
So like for example, I'll see, we have created all images, right, and the narratives of that, nature, and the thing is that everything is so full of wonder. Even the things like, for example, कुछ नया, I see something new on tech in terms of technology, knowledge, whatever. Those are also part of nature. Actually, we have only created as a part of nature those things, and if we ourselves negate them and feel that, oh, this is going to harm us so much, and this is I think then we are you know then we are not accepting everything in its in honestly and in totality.
Absolutely. Absolutely with you. I think this reminds me what you're sharing, there is this movie based on Richard Feynman. He was a physicist. I don't know if you have heard of that movie. I'll share it. I can't remember the name. Infinity. Yeah, Infinity was the name. So English movie made long time ago. And in that, there is this life story of Richard Feynman, who was a physicist, who was also one of the part behind making of nuclear bombs, which he realized later maybe he should not have given his brains to that. But that apart, so what is shown in that movie is that he's so full of wonder all the time, and his girlfriend, who is suffering from a disease, she is asking him, why are you so happy all the time? Because he everything that he looks at with full of curiosity, that okay, as you were sharing, even technology, anything, let me go closer, let me see how it works, and if we allow ourselves to be so close and intimate with each movement of life, everything included, I think we actually make our life very interesting. What Swapna was, using this word interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is
True.
also true for, I have seen that, we have grown up with lot of hatred narratives also. Hatred, like, like, oh, ye to kharab hai, or ye to, matlab, oh, this language or this culture or this and that and all that. But I've seen that, the moment you change it and you think, acha, mujhe thoda janna hai iske bare mein, whole thing changes for you. You kind of, acha, this is also love. This is also something which can be so enriching for me, because it is opposite. It can be much more than something which I already know and probably love.
Beautiful. So you're hinting at this very important aspect of being an explorer for life.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that is so freedom also. There is a lot
this
of
is
freedom.
Even in that last thing that we read, that enjoy freedom
enjoy it in freedom.
Enjoy it in freedom. This is freedom, and that there is nothing in me which is stopping me from enjoying what's and the thing that I have realized that I judge others less because I am judging myself less.
Beautiful. And if any movement happens within me, any movement of jealousy, hate, or so-called uncalled for movements, I think there also same approach as you were sharing. I go close and see what it is like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What is the problem? This is also something which nature only has given.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. This is a new thing that is that is happening. That okay, है तो है. अब क्या कर सकते हैं उसके लिए? The only way negation I've realized it has failed for me. The more I want to run away, it will come and bite me. तो फिर देख ही लेते हैं ना क्या होता है.
Beautiful.
And it also gives a lot of courage and that strength.
Yes. I think if Savitri mein, there are these lines later when she meets the Lord of Death, and she is confronted, and the death is really trying to be harsh, and slowly she grows closer and closer, and she's not leaving, she's not yielding, succumbing to whatever the scares are, and he transforms. The Lord of Death transforms into the Lord of Light, and I think this is what happens with each and every movement. I think who was sharing, I think Swapna was sharing that all the temptations that emerge in our being, they're actually very good happenings. They're a blessing because they show me wherever, the thing, the shadow or the dark spot. So just like that, if I go close to jealousy, first of all, I understand the whole operation of jealousy. And the secondly, I also see that how hollow it is. Actually, it does not have really that much of scare or fear that it gives me. That it should not be there, it should not be there. And it's amazing, the once we go through jealousy fully, fully with lots of courage, and the next time it's just a piece of cake, and slowly it reduces also.
Yeah. This is that I have realized about few things about myself. There's no way I can really run away, because it's actually probably I mean, it is not supposed to be. If it is there, it must have a reason. तो reason से भागना नहीं है मुझे, वो उधर ही रह के थोड़ा देखना है मुझे. So this is something which I felt reading this. I
think this connects you with a lot of inner strength also, because if you are giving yourself a higher challenge, we also need a strength for that. And then we, in that process, we connect with a lot of strength also. Yeah, beautiful. Very powerful. Yeah, anything from you, Swapna? Anything on these reflections or the poem?
Yeah, I've been listening to both of you and very much agree. And in terms of the poem, like the first couple of lines and the last, right? It may be that your loved ones will forsake you, but mine did not, my heart. And it may be that the creeper of your hope will be laid low in the dust, all torn, its fruits wasted, but mine did not, my heart. And then at the end, the walls are of stones, the doors barred. It may be that you will knock oft and again, yet it will not open, but mine did not, my heart. And where I saw about this, what I saw in all this, and the line, sorry, one above it, about the brothers will remain unmoved. It may be that your brothers will remain unmoved, but mine did not, my heart. I just love the encouragement there, because it's my trap. You know, I feel so often this relative or this partner or this friend has let me down, you know, is not standing by me, is not there for me, all these things. And this mine did not, my heart, is just this, you know, it's for me to do all those things. Like it may have started as a small child, when somebody did something that as a small child, one has a right that adults are there for you, yet it may not happen. And then here I am as an adult, and it's my job to be that adult, you know, to be that friend that is standing by me and with me through whatever. And so I found it really beautiful. And it's been tied to the examples I've used, you know, like today, like it started with this experience of being at the back of my body, the silence, and then what I shared about, you know, the brothers or the people, loved ones leaving me, is like, as soon as somebody I love has a different point of view than mine and seems to be angry at me or upset with me, and still to stand by my side, you know, to forgive my side and forgive me, and even if the other can't forgive me in this moment, and just the beauty of all that, and the heart, absolutely, you know, this standing somehow at the very back of my back feels like my heart is leading, you know. And so the softness and kindness that you both refer to, and the love in this poem, exactly, it's been very, it's very beautiful. It's like someone seems to not be there for you and absolutely opens all this. It's the gift about that.
Beautiful. Yes, beautiful. I think this also, the line that you shared, I think connects very strongly with this, that standing by ourselves all the time, being our bestest companion, no matter whether anyone else is standing or not. I think that is connected to a lot of love also, because without love, nothing can happen. And yeah. And this also connects me with when Mother shares that we are more than our experiences. We are more than a sum of our experiences. So there, you know, everything is falling, breaking, this will happening, this will happen, this will happen. And hence, you know, and still don't mind it, my heart. So you are more than all these experiences. We are all more than all these experiences. So standing by our side and still doing what we have to do if we feel it's the right thing to do, and going on and on and on. Beautiful. Gives us a lot of courage and this, you know, the force to continue on our path, whatever our unique paths are. Great. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Swapna, you have anything to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'll share next. I'll take a photo of this page of the Passage in Sunlit Path, because I found it so beautiful. If one reads it, or for me, I felt like if one is able to read it from like somehow being anchored to the back of the body,
Yeah.
and from a quiet place,
Yeah.
like I've read it before, but you know how much it unfolds, this thing of identifying as others, and how then it never feels like giving and taking. Or it's just like the more you give, the more you get, you know. All that. It's so, yeah, I'll take a photo and share it, and
yeah,
it means something to someone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure. Great. So thank you, Ashpriya, thank you, Swapna, and rest of us who have left for all the reflections. Yeah. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.